Okay, we are live and recording. So just a couple of things I wanted to kind of touch base with before we jump into the actual presentation. So this is the marketing plan template. And if any of you didn't get a copy of it, make sure you take a look. This is a pretty simple way of breaking it down. We talked about it in the meeting, so I won't spend a ton of time on it. But this is the 2019 marketing plan template. The whole purpose of this is just designed to try to build the business that you already have. So duplicate what you've already created. So if you go through here, the whole idea is that every time you get a listing, there's 5 things that can happen. So there's 5 different income streams. You can make an income from getting the listing lead generation sold or opportunity sold. So selling the listing that you've got, help the seller to buy a home is another way of making income, get a referral from the seller during the listing period, generate a buyer closing through the listing marketing, or get another listing that in the area that sells. So I mean, those are the 5 ways that you can make money. The whole purpose of this plan is to say, okay, if we're gonna look at every listing as 5 different income streams, how can we make 2 out of these 5 happen every single time? And the idea is that you can get a 2-to-1 rate. So let's say, for example, you wanted to do 50 deals next year. All you'd really need to do is create 25 listings, and out of those 25 listings, you'd have to get a 2-to-1 out of the 5. So it's a fairly simple way to look at it. And that's what we're going to be jumping in today, is that it's broken down into the 5 things. And then in this marketing plan, if you go through, it's actually planning out, okay, how am I going to, step 1, create listing opportunities? How am I going to get the seller to buy with me? How am I going to get a referral from the seller, generate a buyer? And what I've kind of put together on this PowerPoint is the best practices. So what you can kind of focus on, or give you some hints as to what you can do to create these opportunities and make this plan come alive for you. So again, 2-to-1 is the goal, 3-to-1 is excellence. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share in. So this is the presentation that we did last time. This is where I had a bit of an error. We had bad internet. So the next meetings that we do, we'll try to stream them actually properly now. I've got it hardwired in and everything. But what we're going to focus on is the 5 income streams of your listings. We've talked about the 5 already. These are kind of creating the listing opportunity. And one of the things that I want everyone to remember, this is the basics. So there's a lot of really neat ideas out there. There's a lot of people that are making money different ways. These are the tried true. These are the things I can confidently tell you work, because I've done most of these in my business, but also the mastermind groups that I work with are doing this consistently, and the market goes into different technology sides, and these are the tried, trusted, and true. So if you're going to stick to these things, we know it works, but there's always creative ways that you can put your spin on it. Just to give you a bit of an idea, like one of the things that I thought about putting in here is that webinars are real big right now. People are doing really good stuff with webinars, but I don't know if it's just a fad, if it's something that's actually hitting. So I've left out that kind of stuff, but definitely put your creativity on it. The ones that are tried, tested, and true is just listed and just sold. We call that circle prospecting around a listing. We're going to talk about open houses, best practices for that, expired listings, for sale by owner listings, past clients and referrals, online generation and digital marketing, and then maxi media. What do you want to do if you're going to do the newspaper, the radio, that kind of stuff, best practices on that. So let's jump in right away. So the first thing is the just listed, just sold. And when you're doing this, this is probably the easiest way to get a listing in the area. So one of the things you want to remember is that there's nothing that alerts the neighborhood or gets people thinking about selling more than a sign that goes up, especially in an area that hasn't had a whole lot of sales. So remember, as soon as your sign goes up, everybody in the area is looking at your sign. They're starting to think, they want to know what it's listed for. So the idea is, let's just give it to them. Let's do it in a helpful way. So incorporating an offer with each touch is just basically saying, okay, you can just send out just listed, just sold. That's going to get it out there. But what if it was a just listed, just sold with some kind of call to action? Now, the biggest call to action, the one that pulls definitely the most, is the idea that, you know, we're going to come in and we're going to do a big marketing campaign, a big marketing push to get things sold in the area. And to be honest, we can only sell this home to 1 buyer. And just from past experience, we know we're going to have multiple buyers in the area. So if you've ever thought about selling your home, now could be a great time. There's no obligation to list or anything like that. I just need a willingness that if I brought you a buyer, you'd want to sell. That's an excellent in. So that kind of offer incorporated into it. We're looking for more homes in the area. We're going to have a surplus of buyers from the marketing. Incorporating that kind of thing is going to pull quite a bit harder. I've just kind of given a bit of a kind of a run through of a letter that might go out. Remember, if you're going to send out a letter, simplicity. There's an old saying that I've always liked that says, if I'm going to have to speak for 5 minutes, I'll need 3 months to prepare. If I need to speak for 30 minutes in front of a group, I need a day to prepare. And if you need me to speak for an hour, I can do it right away. because brevity is one of the toughest things to get to. We want to cut all the meat out because you're only going to have a few seconds to catch their attention when they open the letter. So the less words you can do and the higher brevity you have, the better your chance of pulling with any kind of offer you put in your marketing. Another best practice, door knock homes in direct comparison to your listing. So if you got time and you want to door knock the area, there's nothing wrong with it. But if you're only going to pick 25 or 30 homes in the area, make sure you pick ones that are identical in some way to the one that you're listing, because those are the ones that's more relevant to you. If you're going to list a basement entry home, you want to take a look at other basement entry homes in the area, and those are the ones that you're sending the listing out and then maybe door knocking or calling afterwards. Add all interested homes into the database. So that's one that I missed when I was earlier in. I wish I had done this, because what you're going to find is if you do go out and do this, you're being in such a helpful way. People want to know what's going on. They want to know what the house sells for. They really like that you thought of them, obviously, especially if you show up and say, hey, I know you have a similar home. I just wanted to let you know what's actually happening in the area because I know it's relevant to you. So you're going to make that first touch. What I didn't do that I should have is I should have had a database to actually put them in. And really, it's as easy as, you know what, why don't we do this? Why don't I grab your phone number and email so I can keep you up to date? I'll let you know how we're doing. I'll let you know when we have different open houses in the area. I can let you know how the market's doing. And then when it sells, I'll actually send you an email so you know what it sells for. That way you just have all the information. Then you're going to just put it into whatever database that you want to work on. And we're going to implement what's called an 8x8 plan. So kind of give you an idea of what an 8x8 plan is. They say that in any industry, any consumer is so bogged down with information now that they can only remember 2 people from any industry or 2 businesses from any industry. So what we're really looking to do is anybody that we come in contact with, have a good relationship with, if we come in and come out of their lives, they're going to forget about us very quick. It's just the way that it works. They're going to get hit with other marketing. They know someone, they're going to forget about you. So the idea is an 8x8 plan is that if you can make 8 touches or 8 communications with someone that you've just met, and this isn't just door knocking, this is in general, in the first 8 weeks, you will now have their mind share, and now it becomes yours to lose. So a simple 8x8 plan for this one, for instance, because each 8x8 plan is going to be a little different, is you do a just listed mail out with a letter kind of letting them know what you're looking for. That's going to be your first touch. Now you follow up with a door knock. I just want to put a face to the name. Did you get my mail out? Have you guys ever thought about selling? And blah, blah, blah. Handwritten note after when you talk to them with another business card would be your third touch. Now you could send them an open house invite before you do the open house saying, hey, why don't you just come take a look? I'll have a coffee ready for you. You can kind of compare what it's like to yours. A follow-up call and a door knock afterwards to say, did you get the invite? Are you guys going to be stopping by? Now you've got a just sold postcard that can go out after it's sold. You can follow up call after that to everybody that you touch base with the first 3-4 times. And then a complimentary evaluation could be your eighth one. Hey, I'm going to be up in the area. I actually have to go put the sold sign up and do a couple things at the house. Why don't I stop by for 15 minutes and just give you an idea of what your house is worth on the market? That way you at least know. By the time you go through that round, if you actually think about it, those 8 things all happen in the first 8 weeks. They're probably not going to forget about you anytime soon. And now you've got their mind share. So now you just have to keep in touch with them long term. And the business is yours to be kept. So just listed, just solds are excellent, especially if you're going to do this in an area that you're farming. Second thing we're going to look at is the best practices for an open house. So a couple of things to remember now. People that are coming through your open houses, we have to use the new forms. I like to use it to build trust. For me, it makes a lot of sense that when someone's coming into the house, I can ask them a few questions. Hey, I want to welcome you guys to the open house. I know you just want to take a look around. I'm going to let you guys do that. Have you been to any other open houses recently? Yes, we have. Okay, so you already know about this, but I have to run you through some of the forms because there's been some big changes in June, as I'm sure you know. Let me just run you through how this is going to work so that I can get all my paperwork and keep myself out of real estate jail, and then I'll let you guys go about the house. Now I'm sitting down with them at the table. Everyone follows in. I walk them through what agency, what does an agency. Most of them probably haven't seen this at the open houses before. If they have, they're going to be very easy. But as I'm talking to them, I'm getting a bit of a feel for exactly what it is that, their feelings towards the house and everything. So make sure when you're doing this, that you're not giving agency right away if it's your open house. Just explain to them that I just want you to know that I technically work for the seller. So anything that you tell me is going to go back to the seller. Now, that being said, you'll see in part 3 that I've got here, I want to have some kind of survey, because one of the bigger mistakes that people make when they go to open houses is that they're looking just for buyers. But the truth of the matter is most of the people that come through have a house to sell. And if they have a house to sell, they want to know, how do you sell a house? And when you come in and someone walks in and they go through the house and you say, is this one right? No, okay, let's just get you onto something else. It doesn't send the right message that you're the one that should be selling their home. So a big mindset shift for me in open houses was I started trying to get sellers when I went to open houses rather than buyers. and it just pulled so much better. So what I'm saying is, you know, I don't want you to tell me anything personal. I don't want anything that's going to go back to the client that's going to hurt you if you do like it. But at the end of the day, I'm out here on a Saturday. Number one, I want to meet people and everything and get buyers through. But I also want to know what the buyer's perception of the house is so that I can bring it back to my seller and we can strategize. So one of the things I'd like to ask you is, after you're done your tour of the home, and I can give you a guided one if you want, if you would please come back and take a couple minutes and just fill out this open house survey that I've got, and just give me your honest feedback about the home. What do you like? What do you not like? How is it priced? That type of stuff. That would be extremely valuable for us going forward so that we can strategize how to navigate this market. People will come back, they'll do that survey. Sign-in sheets, I never had a lot of luck in. I know a lot of people that have done well with it, but they always come back and do the survey. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to hear, you know, that's really neat. It's neat that you're actually working this hard for the sellers. And sometimes that goes into a conversation about what they are looking for. And the neat thing about the survey, and if you guys need one, just let me know. I can send you the one that I use, is that really you're still getting all the information, because they're going to say, you know what, we love the place, but it doesn't have a big enough yard, or we're not big fans of the highway noise, that kind of thing. So when we're doing that, we're using our business contact. Oh, no, sorry. Let me jump down here. I'm kind of jumping around a little bit. So again, number 5 here, study all comparable properties and identify the listings, weaknesses, and strengths ahead of time. So you know that they're going to come through. You know, not everyone's going to hit on the home. Have something to bring them into. One of the things that I like to do is find top 4 or 5 comparables. I study them, and then I look realistically, what are people not going to like about the home that I'm in? Because I can't get over certain objections. There's certain things that won't work. If it's only 2 bedrooms up, some people are going to want 3, and that's just something I can't overcome. But what I can know is what's in the price point that's similar, that's got 3 bedrooms, so I can flip them to something else. And again, what you're kind of doing as you're going through this thing is we're doing the survey, they're going through, and now I've got agency where I've signed, they have no agency with me. I'm pulling out those forms again and say, hey, listen, so just so you know, you don't have to sign anything, but I want to let you know I'm giving you agency. There's no obligation here, but at this point forward, now I've given you agency because I know you're not interested in the house. I've got a couple places I want to talk to you about. One and note is this one. Have you guys been through this one? Have you looked in it? That type of thing. Again, using the new forms at the start, you're going to know if they have a realtor, so now you can kind of move it in. And if you have 4 or 5 comparables, another good thing to do if you're going to do an open house is book right after your open house any vacant homes that you have. If there's vacant homes that are on the market, book them in, because now all of a sudden you can say, you know what, I'm going to be done here at 3. Why don't I meet you guys up there at 3:15 and get you in to take a look? It's key. It's making ease. Remember, buyers want to see homes, and we just want to make it as easy as we can. A couple of things that I skipped over here. Focus on the marketing to seller at listings, not to buyers. That focus will pull hard for you. You'll find there's a ton of opportunity in getting listings from open houses. Use a business contact card in your phone. This is huge, because a lot of times some of the resistance that you get is, how do you get that information? How do you get their cell phone? You don't want to do it in a tricky way, but now you've kind of got to this point. You say, you know what, I see a lot of properties that are coming in, especially in your area. That you're talking about. I know that area well. So when it comes time, I would like to give you an idea of the market value. You know what, why don't I give you my information, then you can get back to me. And a lot of times they're just like, yeah, absolutely. That's a pretty low commitment. So what I'll do is I'll actually pull up my cell phone and say, hey, what's your cell phone number? And right there, that you kind of get that, they know you got it, but it's a nice transition in. So now you get their cell phone, you text them your contact card. It's going to have your email, your website, testimonial contacts if you have that, because you can have that website set up. It's got your cell phone. I may give them a hard copy after, but then after I've texted them the number, I say, you know, I'm just going to grab a couple other things while I've got you in here. So this is your cell phone. What's the best email? What's your guys' address? And what you guys will find is that once you have that phone number, the rest of it's going to flow really easy. So make sure you have that contact in your card. It's a great way to get the information. It breaks down a lot of resistance. We talked about this. Invite the neighbors. Now, if you're inviting the neighbors, it's not always just about the neighbors coming through and knowing what it's worth in their home. The truth of the matter is, and I think it's an NAR stat, about 10% of buyers that bought in an area knew one of the neighbors. They had a friend or family member in the area, and they guided them to the home. So remember, when you're talking to your sellers, anyone, inviting the neighbors is a big win for everyone, because if they come in and they fall in love with the home and they know someone that's moving in, especially if you get someone's mom or dad and there's a young family that's moving in that has kids, they're going to be drawn to that neighborhood. So you want the neighbors to know about the property. You want to sell them on it so that they can become word of mouth soldiers for you as well. So inviting the neighbors and getting them through is great. Get their feedback. You get to know a lot about them, and then you can actually get them out selling for you. So make sure you have a lot of information. That's the last thing on here, is have as much information as possible. Remember that if the sellers are coming in, or people are coming in looking at wanting a listing agent, they want to know that you're on the ball. So the survey and all that's going to help. Make sure you've got your flyers, you've got the assessments, you've got title if you can, PDF, everything that someone would need. Make sure you have offer papers there. I see a lot of people do open houses without offer papers. I always have mine sitting out, and it's kind of funny. You'll get in some conversation and say, you know what, it's a hot property. The chances someone might want to buy. Now, obviously with the new rules, I can't represent you, but I've got agents that I can call. I could be down here in a second, or if you guys had your own realtor, they can assist you. But either way, make sure you have the offer papers out, because that's a big one, and it tells people that you're serious and you're there to sell. Because again, they want to see the hustle, and they want to know if you sell or list their home that you're going to be doing the same thing for them. Geographic farming. So these are great. This plays into absolutely everything. There's a couple best practices with geographic farming that if you're going to start one up, you're going to want to take a look at. So the first thing that is a mistake a lot of people do is that they're going to farm, they try to take 2,000 or 3,000 homes. Well, in today's market, it's really tough to get mind share of 2,000 or 3,000 people. And a good farm would be 300 to 500 homes. So if you're picking a farm and picking an area, there's a couple things you want to look in. 300 to 500 is the amount. You want to pick an area and a price point that's going to have the right demographic of seller for you. So take a look and see what it is, who you actually click with. One of the big shifts that I've seen, in fact, I was just talking to an agent yesterday about it, is that they were kind of looking at it like, okay, who do I click with? Well, the people that they click with was the plus 55s. And when you click with someone that's plus 55, there's certain homes in certain areas that are going to have more plus 55 people into it. So when I say demographics, you want to know, you click more with white collar, blue collar, what kind of price point? Because they're going to naturally be attracted to your type of marketing, your brand, and who you are. So don't try to just go after the $1 million homes if you don't do a lot of $1 million homes. Now, if you're going to go into an area, 300 to 500 homes, you're going to want to make sure that you have no less than a 5% turnover, ideally more. So that really what it breaks down to is this. If there's 500 homes in a farm and there's 25 listings that consistently happen every single year, now you've got 5%. So now you know that every year that area is going to put out about 25 listings. Your goal is to get market share over those 25 listings. So if you get 10%, that's 2.5 more listings that you're going to get every year from your farm. If you get 20%, that's 5. So it's really easy math. You know exactly what you're trying to do. And if you're going to do it, make sure that you don't have you're going into an area that's already dominated by a realtor. Take a look at who the top listing agents in the area are. If you get into an area that's got someone that's got more than 40% market share, it doesn't mean that you can't go into it, but they've obviously got a stranglehold on it. Do you really want to tangle with them, or do you want to take a look and see if there's somewhere that's maybe a little easier to break into? Because the easier it is to break into, the higher you're going to get the ROI. To start a farm, the best practices that I've heard of and I've done myself, it works really well, is break the farm into 3 groups. You're going to write a letter of who you are, why you want to do a market in the area, and you're going to make it compelling. So for me, one of the things that I like to do is take a look and find areas that have opportunity. So for instance, I might write something in Kamloops about North Shore. I might say, you know, my name is Jeremy Reed. I'm a realtor with Remax. I just want to write this letter to let you know you're going to see me around the area. I'm going to make an effort to try to come and meet everyone I can, because I see this area being one of the biggest opportunities in all of Kamloops. As you've probably heard, the CAM plan has now said that they're calling for densification, which means more and more buyers are starting to move into this area. And based on how the downtown core is going, more of these buyers that are in the downtown are going to come out to North Shore because we're starting to transition. Because of that, I want to be the guy in the area that does the business. So over the next couple months, you're going to see me around. If you do see me out, I'd love to come by and say hi, and hopefully we can do some business in the future. Something like that is excellent. It's direct. It explains who you are. It makes logical reason of why you're picking the area. And now you've kind of given yourself an in to go and start talking to people. Now, out of the 3 groups, let's say that there's 300 homes. The first 100 are going to get a call the first month. The second 100 are going to get a door knock the first month. And the third ones are going to get a door hanger the first month. Okay, so you're going to do 100 of each, and you're going to rotate every 90 or every 30 days. So then in the second 30 days, group 1's going to get a door knock, group 2 is going to get a door hanger, group 3 is going to get a call. So by the time you've gone through 90 days, you've cycled through, each person in that farm has gotten a call, door knock, or door hanger. Now, the other thing you can do if you want to kind of speed things up is there's a company called Mojo Dialer, which works really well. That's MOJO Dialer. The nice thing is that you can circle the area that you're in, and they'll pull all the landline numbers that are in there so that you can call through. The other thing you can take a look if you're going to farm an area is you can do by postal code and by what's called fencing, I think is what it's called. So you can make it so that your posts only go out in a certain area, and then you can make it hyper targeted. So you can almost take your letter, put a social media post, and just target to be paid just in the homes or phones or computers that are in that specific area. You're going to want to do some direct mailing. That makes a big difference. You want to do direct mail every 2 weeks for the first 6 to 8 weeks, and then once every 5 to 6 weeks after. So again, getting the farm going by that 8x8 plan that we talked about, you're going to want to really start off heavy. So that letter is going to go out. You're going to get some buzz. You're going to be in the area. You're going to be door knocking. At the same time, every 2 weeks, you want some kind of mailer going out so that they're repeatedly seeing your face while they're actually seeing you knock around and in the area. Every single person they get a hold of, you're going to want an 8x8 plan. So remember, once you actually communicate with someone, 8 touches in the next 8 weeks, and you can plan that out by, they talk to you, now you send them some report that's going on. Then you follow up with a report. Then you send them a personalized note that thanks them for calling in and touching base with you. You might want to have one of your touches, if there's some local businesses in the area, partner with those local businesses and get a gift certificate or some kind of coupon that you can hand out. And now your door hangers can say, get $5 off from Pet Friendly on your next food purchase. It's a local company and we really support them. They're bringing that in, and now when you go back to Pet Friendly, you can actually talk to them and say how many people brought it in, and you can see if people are keeping it around. And the other thing about coupons is people don't throw them out. So if you put a door hanger with a coupon on, it's going to stay around a lot longer. So that's the strategic partners. And again, the local businesses, the ones that everyone's frequently, I mean, if you can get in with them, now you've got the opportunity to have it up on bulletins. You can get to know the owners. Now when people are coming in, they're talking to the owner. The owner has a relationship with you. Oh, have you talked to Jeremy Reed before? Okay, yeah, he's really hustling in the area. He was just telling me he's got a couple of this, blah, blah, blah. You know exactly where this is going. So people are coming in and they're starting to spread your name for you. Community pages are great. Now, there's 2 different ways to do the community pages. My personal preference is to have it completely unbranded, but you're like the ambassador. So a lot of the posts are going to come from you. But remember, this is soft selling on the community page. You're adding value all the time. Your branding may be behind what you're putting in, but you're not constantly posting out, I want a list, I want this, You're putting out stuff about information when there's meetings that happen that pertain to the area, when there's sales that happen in the area. If some new owners just moved into the area, you're introducing them and saying, hey, this is Carol and Mike. They've got 2 kids. I obviously get their permission to this. So if you see them, say hi. They're new to Vernon, but a lovely couple. So you're just kind of always providing value and creating that sense of community. You can also do really good plugs for the local businesses. So again, pull out those phones while you're in there, do some lives for it, explain who they are, get them using some of the other businesses that are in the area. These are all going to turn a lot of business for you guys long term. Doesn't have to be super professional. I know people that have done this to the nth degree where they do reality TV shows and stuff like that. But I also know guys like Kyle Whistle is a good example that does this with just his cell phone, and he has massive success with it. So you don't have to overthink this thing. One of the things that I like about Kyle is that he'll actually go out in the morning, and if he has something that comes up while he's on his morning jog, he'll pull it out, toques on, he's sweating, he's got earbud in, and he's grabbing the thing and saying, hey, I just drove by this really cool neighborhood. Here's something you guys need to know about this new development that's happening in the area, or this made me think about it, or whatever it is. So don't overthink it. People want to see that personalized side. Expired listings. A couple of best practices if you're going to go after expired listings. Remember to be different. They want a solution. There's nothing more frustrating for a seller that tried and failed. I mean, they've heard it all, and I don't know how Vernon is for this kind of market. I know in Kamloops, they get hammered when an expired comes up. There's people door knocking like crazy. But if you're not the first one in, by the time you get there, they are so worn out. So we're trying to reach out and do some kind of value. So consider building a relationship rather than the quick kill. Yes, there's going to be the opportunity where you just show up and they want to list with you. How I usually like to do it is I come in and I just say, hey, I'm just curious. Like, I was driving by the area. I wanted to make a point, though, of coming and seeing you because I saw you were on the market. You've recently expired, and I actually specialize in selling homes that were previously listed with other brokerages but failed to achieve a sale. So I've got a really different marketing campaign. I've got a couple ideas. First question I have, though, are you going to be relisting? If so, with your agent, or are you going to be looking for other options? So a nice, easy out. I'm never aggressive. I'm never pushy when I'm there. I just want to get them talking. If they say they're going to list with the other realtor, that's great. Doesn't end the conversation. I can just say to them that, hey, that's awesome. Just out of curiosity, why do you think that it didn't sell? No. I know some alarm bells are going off for you guys about agency. You're going to have to be very careful about not breaching agency on this side, but you're there anyway. You might as well have the conversation, because I've had it where I've door knocked, talked to people, gave them some information, had an honest conversation with them. And then basically down the line, they've called me after. But again, you cross that line, you give them agency on the door, now you can't bring a buyer. So really know your scripts and really know how you're going to dig in, and make sure you have those forms handy so that you can let them know before you go too far down the line, and give them agency. A couple things that you can do if you're going to do a long term. You know what, we're just taking a break, we want to sell, but we're just frustrated, we're trying to help people through. Hey, no problem. Couple things, I work with a lot of buyers in the area. I don't need you to list. I kind of had a feeling that you probably knew you could, and we're taking a bit of a break, but it's really nice to have exclusive inventory, things that other people don't know about. Can I pick a time to kind of just preview your home if that works for you, that I could actually just know about it? Would you consider a weekend blitz open house? I love doing these with expired listings. They've been on for 6 months. Would you give it one weekend? Give me a couple weeks to market it, get people through. We'll do an exclusive 2-day listing agreement, get as many buyers as we can through on that period. That works beautifully. When you're door knocking, leave your car running, door open, radio on. You want them to know that you're not staying very long. This has to be like a drop by. I was in the area, that type of thing. Otherwise, you're gonna have so much resistance when they catch you on the thing that you're gonna hammer them. I like to make it look like I'm in a rush, I'm going by, even if I'm not. And what you'll find is a lot of times as you're leaving, they'll kind of stop you and ask some questions, as long as they know that you're not going to take a whole bunch of their time. Just want to drop by, give you my card, introduce myself. I am just running to an appointment, but I've got a couple ideas I'd love to discuss with you about your home, a couple marketing things if you are looking for other options. I don't know if you are or not. And as I'm walking away, a lot of times they'll catch you. And the last thing is, never badmouth the previous realtor. If the seller's frustrated, empathize with them, don't slander. It never gets you anywhere to start agreeing or slamming the realtor that had it last. For sale by owner best practices. Again, understand the first sale by owner wants to sell. They just want to save the commission. Most of them have what I've found anyway, a lot of them have had either a bad experience in the past. They have a net amount that they have to get that they don't think they can get if they pay a commission, or they're just trying it out. You know what, we're not that serious. We thought we'd put it out. The realtors were telling us it was worth $50,000 less. We just want to see if we can get it. That's a pretty common one. There's other scenarios, but those are kind of the main three. So I just kind of work with these things. A lot of times what I've found, which has been really successful for me, is they want to sell, they want to get exposure. And if you can bring them a buyer, they'll pay a buy commission. They're still saving half the commission. So I used to run a program called Private Stock. It was excellent. I did it with expireds and first sell by owners, or people that I just talked to when I was circle prospecting. I took down their information. I got an idea of what their house was worth. They gave me a price, and now I've got something exclusive that I can talk to my buyers about. And if I bring them a buyer, great. If not, it's no harm done. So I'm not under a listing contract. I'm just creating joint venture partnerships, which again, I've actually talked about here. So the joint venture idea works great. How can you both have a win? So you bring them a buyer, they still say, let's say the listing commission. You can do open houses on their homes if you set it up. You do some really cool stuff. If you guys have questions about this, let me know. But you can really help out. Another thing I like to do is add value. So if I'm sitting there talking to a first sale by owner and they ask me, you know, what is it that you actually think about the home? I'll be like, you know what, it's a beautiful home. It seems like you're priced right. Again, alarm bells, and we can talk about this. This isn't about agency, but you're going to have to make sure that you have the forms and you have the conversations up front. Anyway, so you're going to want to talk to them about it. And when they ask you, what do you think? Give them your honest opinion. Hey, the house is great, but the photos are horrible. Not that that's your fault. It's just the resolutions that you're putting up to are coming out grainy, and the photos, you can tell they're beautiful. So either you need to change the resolution that you're putting in, or if you want, use my photographer. It's going to cost you $150, but he's awesome. He'll give you the right formats, everything like that, so it shows properly. Or maybe you need more photos. Maybe you tell them that the write-up, to be honest, I think you need to focus a little more on a certain type of demographic. The write-up just seems a little too canned. If I was doing it, don't just give them value. I've even had sometimes where I put up signs for them. I let them know that sign, you need to get some actual drive-by. I've got some first sell by owner signs that hang on the big nice post. Why don't I get one of those set up for you guys so you get some proper drive-throughs? In one of the later ones, we're going to talk about a company called ProQuest. There's some awesome strategies with that, because now they can actually you could actually give them a phone number that they can market to, so they can see their past history, gives them some scripts. There's a lot of tools you can give to a first sale buyer to help them out. And 9 times out of 10, if I have a good relationship with them, if they do list, they're going to list with me. And if they do sell, a lot of times I can help them buy, because they're fine with the buy side. So a lot of business to be made on first sell by owners. as long as you don't go for the quick kill and you're never going to convince someone that they're wrong. It's just not going to happen. They know they could pay a commission. They're going to try. And if you challenge them, good luck getting them to come back and say, oh, you were right. SOI and past client referrals, best practices. You're going to want to develop, remember we talked about mindshare and we were talking about the 8x8 plan. So apparently the optimum scenario is 33 touches per year. And there's a 33 touch program that I've got set up, but really it doesn't take too much. If you do one monthly vlog, that's going to be 1 touch through your video. If you have 6 mail outs a year that goes out, that's another 6. So now you're at 18 touches. You got a birthday card that goes in. You touch base around assessment time. You strategically touch base with them 2 times a year with a phone call. It doesn't take long to get up to 33, but plan it out. Because otherwise, if it's not planned out and it's not into some kind of system, as you grow this thing, you just can't maintain it. Another thing that's really good is the thinking of selling you calls and text, or thinking of you calls and text. So if you can, schedule yourself time every single day to just look at the hot sheets and take a look and see, is there anyone that you know or that's a past client that something happened that's relevant to them, and can you reach out to them through a call or text? You're driving through a neighborhood and you see that one of your past clients just did a bunch of landscaping or something, shoot them a text, hey, just saw the landscaping, just drove by, looks awesome, how are you guys doing? Sometimes I'll just sit there and someone will pop in my head and I'll just grab the phone and send it to them. Or when I'm driving, I call it windshield time. It's kind of nice when you're driving, just I have the list in my phone and I can just start calling. I make calls when I'm driving around. You don't have to overthink the things. I mean, the basic ones is 2 weeks after they move in, you should be touching base to make sure everything's okay. You should be doing that again every 5 months. You're just calling to constantly help out. Sometimes you might just call. I've got lots of times where I just call and say, hey, you know what, I was looking for a reason to call you and I have none. But I was thinking of you and I just want to see how you're doing. So I got nothing really, just how are you guys doing? That can be in the same way with text as well. You can do some really cool stuff. Like there's a company called Get Viral that has a lot of really good ideas. But one of the ones that pull really well is sending out a thinking of selling this spring video log with 5 best tips to prepare your home for a spring sale, and then put a tracking on it. You can do that through SurveyMonkey, or I've heard, I use BombBomb. It's the easiest one. You guys know that. I've found that. It'll tell you who opened it up. So now you got your past clients. You send out that email. 23 people open up something saying, are you thinking of selling this spring? Here's 5 things you should start doing now to get ready. I like to call them, and I joke around about it all the time, but I like making those calls because I play into the stalker thing. So they open it and I give them a call and say, hey, I saw that you opened the thing. And you know, if you're even thinking of selling, I'm on it. So remember, I'm always watching. You know, it's kind of funny. It's a nice touch base, but at the same time, you're putting out leaders that kind of tell you who in your database is the most likely to be looking. You do the same thing in the fall. Create a monthly blog or newsletter. Again, content is king. So putting out information is good. If we want best practices, though, there should be some part of it that you've written, that you've prepared, that you put some time and effort in, because what they want is your knowledge. They want to know what's happening in the market, what it means to them, how it can be relevant. They want to hear from you. So if you do have a newsletter that you're sending out that does, you know, just touches with random stats and stuff like that, maybe take a couple extra minutes and figure out how does this actually factor into the people that I'm sending to directly. Watch social media for big life events. People post everything about their lives online now. If you see that someone just had kids, number one, it's a good reason to reach out with a letter or a note or a call, whatever it is. But at the same time, big life events usually mean a move. And those are kind of fun calls to say, hey, just so that you guys had kids, congratulations, that's awesome. I didn't even know you guys were trying, or and just tell you guys married, blah, blah, blah. And as they're having a conversation, you know, if you're having kids, you guys are still in that apartment, and are you going to need some more room, that kind of thing. So again, you're kind of working the database, but keeping an eye open for when things are going to change in your clients' lives, that maybe they need a new property. They get a new job or a new promotion. I love making these calls to say, hey, man, what are you going to do with all that money? Maybe it's time we take a look at getting you into an investment property. I got a couple that I've got picked out that are good returns. They'll say no most of the time, but they love that you're thinking about them. It's a nice reason to touch base. Client appreciation parties don't have to be big and elaborate, so don't overthink it. It's really about the invite. It's not really about the event. I mean, you can do really cool things with the movie theater. We'll let you rent out the movie theater for an afternoon. That's a cool one. Bowling's a really good one. You can do joint venture client appreciation parties with your lender partners, that kind of thing, to get some extra people in the database. In Christmas, we just did with Bravado and the Christmas Tree Farm, which kind of works together. We just had all the clients come out. We had sleigh rides. We had a bunch of stuff set up for the kids. bonfire, handed out some mulled wine and stuff like that, had hot chocolate for the kids, and then the sleigh ride would actually take you down, and then we got $10 off any tree that people decided to buy, so they got a discount out of it. It was fun. Had people come out, got a good chance to run around with the kids, or my kids to run around with other kids, and I get to talk to my clients. But it was the invite is the biggest thing, is that I get to touch base with a lot of people through inviting them. And reward referrals immediately. I know a lot of you guys know that, but remember, a call and a small gift goes a long ways with a lot of people. And there's also another thing that I know one guy that's doing really good. I haven't done it myself too much, but I tried it just to see. If you do get a referral, sometimes it's kind of neat to call the person that had referred them to you, because usually they came into your life in some way. That's kind of a cool call. Hey, Mike, I just cut off the phone. Jim just referred me someone, and I don't know if you remember, you referred Jim to me a year ago, and it's just kind of funny how things work. And I just want to thank you again. You passing my neighborhood is still helping me out hugely. And how are you doing? How are things going? That kind of thing. Digital media marketing best practices. So again, you're going to want to create a consistent story and focus on the funnel. Again, the ratio of social media campaigns is intro, value item, value item, value item, value item, call to action. It's kind of the jab, 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 hook. So what I mean by value item, if you're going to use a social media campaign, have a consistent line and learn what's called Facebook retargeting, because that is huge. So you might have an intro that says, just off the top of my head, my name's Jeremy Reed, and really what I want to do is I want to provide a lot of value on the selling side. I specialize in the listing side. We've got some really cool marketing. I'm trying to bring in some partnerships. I'm trying to do more in that specific aspect of the business. And what I've found is that when people realize how much money can be left on the table and how important it is to take the proper steps when you list, you realize that you could realistically cost yourself $5,000-$10,000 very easily by just not going to market properly, not negotiating properly. So what I'd like to do is just start putting out our items of value. Just follow along these videos as they go along, and I'm going to let you know, whether you list with me or not, what the top things you need to be looking at, because if you do get to the market, I want to make sure you don't leave any money on the table. That kind of video, I mean, that's pretty bland, but it still gives you an idea of what that intro video would look like. Now I'm sending out value items. I'm sending out, hey, this is something that you should consider. Hey, I just did this. You can pull out the cell phone. I just was just listing a property, and we got into this unique scenario, and I thought this is something to share with you guys. Or here's some clients that did an awesome job of preparation, and I took some before and after photos. You guys need to see these things. It's amazing what these little items can do, and success stories and all those kind of things. So value item, value item, value item. But where I was going to go with that, so you send out an intro video, and you're just sending that out into a leader. So it's just kind of going out into the internet. You can do this on like $1 a day budget. Just constantly have that video going out through a paid ad. But as it's going out, the people that are interested are going to click on it, and they're going to watch that intro video. What Facebook retargeting allows you to do is that everybody that watches that video, you can now send them your video number 2. So now they're watching video number 2. Anybody that watches the video number 2 now goes to video number 3, and they'll watch that, and that'll kind of post out a week after and a week after and a week after. So again, going back to that 8x8 plan, you've now taken, maybe you took your video and you put it in front of 20,000 people, and out of the 20,000 people, 8,000 watched it. And then you take those 8,000 and you send them a second video, and out of the 8,000, maybe 5,000 watched it. Then you take that 5,000 and you get to the next one, and now only 3,000 watch it. But what you're doing is you're working down the funnel. So remember, by the time you get to your 4th video, you've now had someone that has engaged in 4 different videos, that has listened to everything you said. Now it's time for the hook. Now it's time for the call to action. Hey, if you've been watching these videos and you found it helpful, I mean, this is just the tip of the iceberg. If I can get in and see your home, there's going to be more opportunity in the next 12 to 18 months than there has been in the last 10 years. And if you're thinking of taking advantage, we need to do a strategy session. So link to my calendar below. I've got different times available. I'll come in for a half an hour. I promise you it's not going to be high pressure. You probably know by the videos I'm not high pressure. But let's meet. Let's go over 30-minute strategy session. Let's see what we can do and see what kind of opportunities are available, and go in for the hook. That's the most effective way to use social media. So really utilize that area. And then obviously the touch base and the posting relevant stuff is good, but those are what's going to pull your best marketing. There's a digital marketing checklist I sent out in an email before. You guys should be using that. That kind of runs through your best practices, how to make sure that your internet presence is bulletproof. 75% internet usage is on video, so focus or push your comfort level and utilize the video. Again, cell phone out. it's easy. It's fun. People enjoy it. They want to see the real you. Sometimes after I get off the phone, because a lot of times I'll have my kids with me, I'll shoot the video, and if my kids are there, I'll introduce who my kids are. I mean, I want them to connect with me. I want them to be comfortable. Again, going back, BombBomb is a great resource for this because it's nice and easy. You open the app, you record it, and it just texts them or emails them. And then remember, most consumers, and it goes back to that digital marketing checklist, are going to Google you. So when they Google you, they're going to see your reviews. Make sure you have some reviews on there. Go through your past 10 best clients and call them and say, hey, I'm just starting up a Google page. I know it's the year of reviews. And I really want to publish this with like some real reviews on it. And I know that you and I have always had a good relationship. Would you mind writing a review if I sent you a link? That would help me out a lot. You target your top 10 people, they're going to help you. And if you don't have 10 people that you're comfortable with, do you have lender partners or people that you share business or anybody that could vouch for how you do business? Because really we're looking for a character reference. People want to come in and they want to see who you are. And after you've got those 10, don't lose momentum. When you really knock it out of the park with someone, you just sold their home and went to multiple offers, you get 10,000 over asking, ask them, say, hey, listen, I really appreciate the time we spent, and I want to get some, I want to deal with other people like you. Would you mind taking a couple minutes and just filling out a Google survey? It would help me huge, just because I want to work by referral, and I know your opinion would mean a lot to me. It's awesome. It's you guys can build it. I wish I did more of it. Okay, Maxi Media. So this is, if you're going to go into Maxi Media, when I say that again, it's radio, newspaper, the stuff that's going to be really expensive. You're going to want a strategy, and you're going to want to plan it out, and you're going to want to know who your demographic is. So I can't recommend enough Guerrilla Marketing by Jay Conrad. It's one of my favorite ones. I think he's got an updated one. The old one is old school, but you'll still pull out gems because the principles are sound, what it takes to actually build a marketing plan. And what he talks about is that you should track and experiment and look at your marketing as an investment. You don't want to just try something for a month and see if you get something, and try something else and be that bumblebee. It's consistency. It's about developing a message, and it's about how can you take the most with the least. How do you do just enough to get an ROI, but not go overboard, because that's where the bounds is. I mean, you can buy up all the television and radio stations that you want, but your ROI is always going to be what's king. And if you're spending $5,000 a month, but you could get the same return with $500 a month, it just makes sense to do the $500 a month. You're not doing this to win a popularity contest. You're doing this to get mind share of the people that use that type of media. So remember that anywhere that you have attention, there's an opportunity to deliver a message and get an impression, but you have to be aware of who's using that type of media and what makes them tick, and when are they most apt to listen to your message. Okay. So a couple things on that. Knowing the demographic, we talked about that. The what's in it for me, there's got to be some kind of call to action that's going to be key. It doesn't need to be, but in my opinion, from what I've had with the Maxi Media I've done, the ROI is way bigger when they know exactly what the next steps are. They've seen your media, they've seen other places with you. Every time I'm trying to deliver a message that's getting them to take the next step. That next step might not be a contact to me, but that next step might be check out our website or do this or whatever it is. Get them to do something, the next step with it. And again, in guerrilla marketing, I'll talk about all that. Influencers. So this is a big part about it, especially if you're using media. If you can have some kind of influencer in your marketing, because remember, whenever you're doing marketing like that, it's about building credibility. So you might have seen different marketing that people have done where it might say, as seen in Homes and Garden magazine, or as seen in Forbes, that kind of thing. Well, what people will do is they'll pay Forbes to write a message about them. It costs them a ton of money, but if you want mileage out of that, now for the rest of your marketing, say as seen in Forbes magazine or as seen on HGTV. I mean, there's no doubt about it, it does pull. For me though, that type of marketing I never played with too much. It just didn't fit with what I was trying to do. But what did play really well is that, like with my radio commercials, I tried to have some kind of segment in the radio commercials where I was talking shop, having some kind of interaction with the hosts. And the idea that came from it, which was in that guerrilla marketing, is that if I'm on the radio talking to a host consistently, whether they say it or not, subconsciously what they're saying to their followers is that this person is professional, I trust this person, and anybody that trusts the radio host now trusts me. That's the by association. So a little show that we used to do all the time was just the Reality of Realty. We still shoot it a little bit just to kind of keep things going. But obviously with the transition down here, it's not as heavy because I'm only selling part-time now. But when I was doing it full-time, what I was doing is as many shows as I could, and we would film it. We would take the audio from the radio station, we would put it on the video, and we would circulate that through. And what it did through social media, and what it did is it gave me credibility because it showed B100 and the radio host talking to me. That's what influence marketing can do. If there's someone in the area that's very well known or well established or has a good reputation, and you can have them speak or have them incorporate into your marketing somehow. These are all ways that you can kind of build up your brand. So remember influencers. Remember, the people that like that influencer will like you, but a caveat is if they're controversial, you're going to get pulled into that controversy as well. Going back to timing and ROI. So my radio commercials were pulling really well. I was getting about a 6 times ROI off them the first year, but I was very specific about my plan. So it wasn't for me trying to be absolutely everywhere. At first, I did that for the first 90 days. So that was absolutely everywhere, but then I toned it down. So when my radio commercials run, they run from 7:30 a.m. until 9 a.m. And then they run again from 4:30 till 6. And I run that Monday through Thursday. And I run the odd ones on the weekend, but for the most part, it's Monday through Thursday. Reason being is that when people are driving to work and when they're driving home, the same people listen to the same radio stations, so they're going to hear me consistently. So for that group, I know I've got them locked up because they're going to listen to the message. It's not as effective as they're at work doing their thing and it's background noise as it is when they're driving and they're actually paying attention to what's coming through. So remember, picking your timing can be huge. A lot of people feel the newspaper's dead. I think it's just about your tactic with the newspaper. There's a lot of people that read the newspaper still. And if you can get into media without being paid, that's even better. That's a huge aspect. So if you can do something that's newsworthy or get into the news, you're automatically going to have that credibility because something's being published about you. But going back to the newspaper, again, it's all about attention. And what I see with the newspaper, and I never went into the newspaper too much, but I know people that use it really well. What you have to remember is for the newspaper, a lot of times what we're doing in that marketing is brand recognition, and we're trying to appease our sellers to be into the newspaper. But there's a lot of eyeballs there. So what can you do that's different? If you know that a lot of people are going to read your message, what do you want to say? How can you be different with that ad? What's a call to action that's going to catch that? If everyone's trying to advertise towards buyers, could you advertise towards sellers? Would that pull a little bit more? These are all kind of ideas that you can be thinking with that. And if you ever have a question whether there's eyes on the newspaper, accidentally list one of your properties for $100,000 less and watch your phone blow up. I mean, people are reading it. There's no doubt about it. There's attention there. There's opportunity. But if you're going to go into it, make sure that you're very specific about what you're putting as a message. And any kind of pitch or slogan. So remember, this is the formula. So whatever you're going to put, bad guy versus good guy equals happy ending. I mean, that's the formula that goes through. So the bad guy might be the hundreds of people that you're seeing leaving thousands of dollars on the table. The good guy is your system that alleviates that. And the happy ending is that you guys get to do business together and the seller gets to make more money. That's kind of the message. So how do you frame it in that? Now that's a very generic one. You probably want to be more specific than that, but just again, whenever you're creating a story, that's what you want to do. And whenever you're giving an elevator pitch to someone, make sure that your slogan leads into it. So to give you an example, if you go onto my website or anything like that, you'll see that my website is 6weeksold.ca and my slogan is successfully sell your home in 6 weeks or less. So I get a question. Now, I don't want some convoluted way or a message where I have to explain, well, yeah, but there's fine print and all that. That's why I've never done the sell your home in 90 days or I'll buy it. Not saying it's not a good program. It's just I wanted to be able to explain it. So when people say, what's the deal with that 6 weeks sold? So you guarantee you're going to sell it in 6 weeks? Well, no, the truth of the matter is one of the biggest complaints people get is that there's a lot of fireworks at the start. They get locked in with the realtor for 6 months and they find out after the first 2 weeks that they got locked in with a dud. My theory is if I want to be accountable to you, I want you happy the whole time. So we just do 6-week listing contracts. I pay all the marketing costs. And if at the end of the 6 weeks you're not sold and you want to move on, there's no further obligation. So it's an easy way to keep me accountable and gives you the security that you're not locked in a long time. So it's really a no-brainer to give it a try. That's an easy thing for me to explain. It makes reasonable sense. Another one that pulled really well for me was the 24-month satisfaction guarantee. I would put that if you buy a house using our system and our structure, we'll make sure we're so sure we'll put you in the right home that you're going to be happy with, that we'll give you a 24-month sell for free satisfaction guarantee. You're not happy in the first 24 months, we'll sell your home for free, we'll put you into something else. Again, people ask, well, what does that mean? Like, how does that? Well, the truth of the matter is that I want to stand behind it. I want to make sure that I'm more than just a tour guide. I want to make sure I'm putting you in the right home. And if you're not happy, I want to find you the right home. So the whole thing is this: I sell you a home, you're not happy, I'm going to list it for free. I waive the listing portion of the commission when you buy another home. It guarantees me another sale, which is, again, I'll get my ROI off that because I'll be at about a break even. But what I get out of it is the security that I'm going to make sure you're in the right home. I cannot be doing this on too many homes, so it keeps me accountable to make sure I'm on the search and I'm listening to you and I'm making sure that I'm hitting all the points. And it means that I'm going to have to be honest with you. If I think you're buying the wrong place or I think you're overpaying with it, I've got it in writing that I've got to be serious about it. I can't just slam you into a home. So my theory on business is transparency. I want to always be doing the best for my client, and this guarantee just makes sure that I keep my head on a swivel when I'm doing this. So that's why I do a 24-month satisfaction guarantee. It's easy, it's simple, it makes sense, it builds trust. So again, good guy, bad guy, good guy, happy ending. Too many people are getting slammed into homes. They were picking the wrong areas, the wrong locations, getting caught on finishings, and you hear about it all the time. And who are they mad at? They're mad at the realtor. I don't want you being mad at me. I want you to be happy. That's why we do this. Happy ending. Okay. So those are kind of best practices on how to generate listing opportunities. So now you're going to be taking each listing and you're going to be generating through these. Step 2 is help the sellers buy the next home. A couple things you can do with that is when you're doing the listing, add a section in your listing presentation designed to talk about buying with you and why it's better to buy with you. Again, if you've got some kind of offer like a satisfaction guarantee, do that. But really what it comes down to is, are you guys buying another place? Because I love the hunt. I love shopping. I love finding you guys the right deal. It's just a passion of mine. But if I'm going to list your home and sell your property, one of the benefits is that I get to control both sides of it, so we can link up dates better. We can do a lot of things. So if you guys are looking to buy, I'd love to help you work with that. Now, they might be like, of course, we just assumed. Well, it's nice to have that conversation ahead of time. It also allows us to talk about, what do we do if you drive by a for sale by owner? What do you do if you drive by a foreclosure, a new construction? We can do neighborhood scrubbing. And I can go door knock areas if you need to, put out mailouts, because again, it's listing opportunities for you. But the point is that you're having all these conversations up front. Don't just assume that they're going to use you. And if they are going to move out of town, make sure you get that referral, because RE/MAX has a worldwide network. Get a referral from the seller during the period. So a couple things that you can do with there: add referral cards. I showed it at one of the meetings. If anyone has any questions, email me. But what it is it's just a referral card that says, we're growing our business and we're growing it by referral. Do you know anyone that might be looking to buy or sell a home in the next 12 months? You're handing it to them as you're having the conversation. I work by referral. I'm building my business by referral. I want to do such a good job for you that you can't help but tell all your friends and family about me. That's my goal out of this. I'm not here to sell you one home. I'm here to be your realtor for life and help all your friends and family. Now, when they link that referral card, I can strategically send them 4 more throughout the process. So they've got the accepted offer, I'm going to send them one. They've got when they remove subjects, I'm going to send them one with the contract. They've got when they move in, I'm going to give them one. So they're getting all these reminders as it's going through, so you don't have to constantly be asking them. Now your job is just to up the game. How do I make them even happier? How do I go that little bit extra? What's something I can do that's just that hug your or customer culture? How can I make it a little bit better? Is there a period of blackout where they're not hearing from me that I can find a reason for them to hear from me? All you have to do at that point is ask for the referral at the start, tell them your intention, keep getting those referral cards out, and just keep trying to up the game with little extras all the way through. The social media posts that you get from RE/MAX, get them to share that on their social media, because again, they're sharing to where our house is for sale, but they're seeing your face. Add a section in your listing presentation that explains you're actively looking for referrals. We talked about that, and growing your business word of mouth. The benefit, though, for you as a word of mouth referral is that you can just crank it up even further. I want my focus to be on selling these homes. And for most realtors, 80% of their time is spent trying to find new business. I don't want to do that. I want my 80% to be focused on you guys and the 20% to service new business. And the only way I can do that is that I need my clients to be out spreading my name. And the only way that's going to happen is that I just need to keep doing an exceptional job. So it's an awesome synergy. It's the way I like to do business. It's the reason I've done so well so far, and I want to continue to grow it that way. And then ask for a review at the end of the transaction. But again, going back to that step 3, remember, your whole plan, when you're laying out step 3 of your plan, just what can you do the little extras? How can you make it that much more professional? How can you make your communication better? Just try to figure out how, when someone comes through, it's funny, when you start writing this plan out, there's that little bit of a voice sometimes that says, oh, this isn't duplicatable. Throw that away, because at the end of the day, the best business you're ever going to get is the referral. And I've made this mistake where I'm like, oh, you know what? It's great if I'm listing 20 homes, but I can't do this on 100. Well, you know what? If you get to the point where you can't do it, then make a decision. But don't make a decision off the bat. If you got the time and the ability and the resources to service them to a certain degree now, do that, and then only cut if you absolutely need to. Because there's nothing worse than saying that would be really cool, but what can I do that over 100 homes, or the scalability is not there? Forget all of that right now. Right now, you just want to wow your client. Step 4, generate a buyer closing through listing marketing. Track and focus all opportunities. So again, just having this focus on number 4, because remember, you got that scorecard. So now it's very simple. Every time you take a listing, there should be a scorecard on your wall. The listing gets written in the address, and every time you bring in a lead, you're ticking. Where did that come from? These guys are a sign call that just closed off of this. Boom. I got it right there. It's front and center. You're keeping track of it. So now you're looking at it and saying, wow, I just took 5 more listings. I haven't got any buyer calls. I wonder what's going on. How can we look at that? Or am I not converting? And now you can kind of pay a little more attention to how are you acting on that? How are you having those conversations? Am I scaring them off with this new agency thing? Do I need to have an extra explanation onto this? There's always something that you can do that's going to make it a little bit better, but just focusing on it is going to make you sharp, because you're not going to waste any calls or any leads or anything that comes through, because you're going to be watching that scorecard. Targeted Facebook ads to generate buyers, and then follow up the buyers that are tagged in the post. That's worked really well for me. It's awesome. If you do a ton of listings, rather than doing a separate ad for each listing, you might want to take your website and identify the top deals. Most IDX websites, you can just do a set search of the best deals under 350,000 and run that ad. The best deals over 600,000, the best foreclosures that are currently available. Foreclosure you want to be careful with. You don't want to be that. But anyway, as you're kind of setting these out, what's a group or a chunk that can get some interest? And then how do I get them to my website so that they're going to actually sign on, so I can get their contact information? Utilize open houses to generate buyers. Again, you're looking at sellers, but keep your head on a swivel for buyers as well. Those surveys, when they come out, we talked about that. I guess actually we don't have to go in there. Yard marketing. Yard marketing is huge. So remember, there's no one more motivated than the drive-by. Someone that actually put gas in their car and are driving by the areas, they're one of the most motivated buyers that are out there. So yard marketing is very simple. This is my old setup. It's not pretty. It's not the greatest, but I can tell you one thing, it pulled. So what I would do is I would say, okay, when people drive by, there's 3 different scenarios for them. They either A, want to book a showing, B, they're a neighbor that's driving by the area and want to know what the house is worth or what their house would be worth, or they just want to get an idea what the house is worth. Just because they're a buyer, but they're not quite ready to go a showing. So all 3 of those, I want to link those to a conversation. So if you take a look on the left here, you can see my topper: successfully sell your home in 6 weeks or less. Visit 6weeksold.ca for more information. I would have my sign with my office number here. And then at the time when I had the team, I'd have my assigned buying specialist at the bottom. I changed this now. I changed it at the end anyway. It said, view this home today, call such and such to get in, showings daily, that kind of thing. Because if someone's pulled up in front of it and they're like, wow, that place looks really awesome, I want them to feel like they can get in. So I was strategized with the sellers, get an idea of what was the most opportune times, and try to make it where I had showing slots set up every single day for those drive-bys. And I just told my clients the drive-by is the most motivated. The earlier we can get them in, the better. This one here on the right is a company called ProQuest. So these are people that just want to get some information. So you'll see I've got brochures in here that give the photos, the run through, but it doesn't have the price because our price was always changing. But really what I want to do is get a call. So what ProQuest does is people will call this 1-800 number, put this in, they get a pre-recorded message about the home. As they're listening to the pre-recorded message that has different information than on the flyer, by the way, it's ringing you or any of your agents or whoever, but mostly it'll just be ringing you. And as you're ringing, it's really kind of cool because you'll answer and an automatic message says, there's a buyer on the line at 2225 Barbara Avenue. They're listening to the message. Begin speaking in 3, 2, 1. And then all of a sudden you're connected. So what it does is it gets a live conversation with someone, because at the same time they're hearing on their side for up-to-date, due to changing marketing conditions, be like up-to-date pricing on this, please press 1. Now, if they press 1 and you haven't answered yet, the nice thing is ProQuest will automatically text them the full link, the full MLS, the full price, everything to their phone. You still have the capture so you can do a follow-up, but the most effective is to answer that phone, have a conversation with them. They still get a text with everything, but now they're talking to you and you can ask them, so you guys have been driving around a lot? Have you looked in the area? Is that price point something that matches for you? So you kind of link in, but this converts really well. It gets a lot of people on the phone that might not have before. And then all you got to do is build a relationship with them and they'll become your buyers. Talked about this already. get another listing in the area sells. That's the circle prospecting. I don't think we have to jump in too much. Just again, the motivated neighbors that see the sign. Most people want to. So this is a line that came from Joe Nego a while ago, and I incorporated this into all my marketing. Most people want to move. Not everybody wants to list, and that kind of goes away from the traditional method. Meaning, there's very few people that you'll talk to that there is people, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of people that you can talk to in the day-to-day that if a buyer showed up ready, willing, and able for the right amount, they would move. Most people like the idea of moving. Most people want to shop. They want to go look at houses. It's exciting. But the hassle of getting the house ready and finishing off all those little renovations they need to do and having people come through the house and what if it doesn't sell and the pain and the stress, most people don't want to do that. So because I know most people don't want to do that, a lot of my marketing tries to baby step into that. It's not full commitment. Your first commitment might be to me, hey, do you have a willingness to sell if the right price came in? Well, what is that price? And I'm creating a database of that so that I can call and I can link a lot of deals that way with people that aren't on market. It's extra value for the buyers. But again, it's that itch and that bug. And then they get a feel. And then my job is to make them comfortable. And then when it is time, again, have a plan in place that makes it as stress-free, stressless as possible. How can I make it easier on them? How can I make it less stressful? That kind of thing. And then get to know the neighbors of the listings as well. We talked about that with the database. You're already talking to them, make the relationship stick, 8x8 plan, put them into a 33 touch afterwards. Bonus, optimizing your plan. So when you're optimizing your plan, this is a lot of different things that you can go to. Pick one or two and just go really, really deep on it. You can try to do it all, but then you become very shallow with lots of different things in the air without anything that you're really good at. So if you're going to do, say, farming and yard marketing, those two things, then focus on those first, finish those up, get really, really good on that. You might want to add in open houses. Efficiency is the name of the game, so try to make the most time out of your day that you can. So let's say that you were running this whole plan, but you've got two things that you're going really deep on. The other ones are just kind of consistently going along. So a way to be efficient would be you could start a social media campaign on an exclusive open house that you're holding on a for sale by owner expired listing that's located in your farm, and you could bring a list of 5 to 10 past clients to touch base while you're there in case it's kind of slow. I mean, now you've done a lot of different things in a 2-hour window that if you hadn't planned it out, you wouldn't be hitting. So again, linking these things through, how can I be more efficient? Okay, I'm doing an open house. How can I try to get more listings at the same time? That kind of thing. Who can I make calls to while I'm actually there? Plan your days out. You'll get a lot more free time. You become a lot more productive. And then always follow through and follow up with opportunities immediately. This is a killer. A lot of this is going to take tracking, circle prospecting into your database. Now is always the right time. If you wait for a day, a lot of times it slips by you, it doesn't make it in. So what I've really had to struggle with over the years is disciplining and taking those extra 15 minutes and doing it now. Because if I don't do it now, it's not going to get done. I figured that out about myself. So procrastination is the ultimate killer of any plan. And that's it. Now, I don't need to do questions because we're already at 11, but I am open to questions. So you guys have my email. Call me anytime or email me anytime you have any questions. Usually here 9 to 5. If I'm not, I've got my cell phone on me. And if you are working on this plan, you just want to idea share and optimize, let's schedule a time and get together. So I'm going to be sending out a link to this live if you want to watch again afterwards. And we will see you guys Thursday at 9 a.m. at the meeting for anyone that can make it. Okay, bye. Let's go into